Hey everyone, welcome to this new video. Today we'll be talking about the arrays. Arrays were the first data structure when I was learning about the data structures and algorithms in my college days. Around 10-12 years ago. Today I'll try to share the knowledge about arrays that I have gained in these many years. So starting with, what are arrays? So array is a data structure that stores data in contiguous memory location. Now, what is a contiguous memory location? Now, before answering that, I'll talk about little about memory locations. So, in computers, you can imagine that memory is you can imagine memory in the form of table, a grid structure where you have a sequential address given to different memory blocks. So you can consider that this one block is of a particular size and this has some address, and similarly the other blocks also have some address. Now as you can see that the block just adjacent to the to a block will have a just a next address. For example, if this first block has address of 0xf001, the second block will have 002 and so on. It will go like that only. Now in array, if all the elements are stored in a memory such that all the blocks are just one adjacent to another. So for example, this is an array 1 to 10. The address of the first element is 0x7fe1. The next element will be fe2 and so on. The last element will be fea, right? So this is how array data structure is. This is what we call as contiguous memory location. Now, what are some characteristics of an array? So first is the array is of fixed size. Once you have defined an array in any programming language, you cannot change the size of that array. The next is that any array that is defined is of same data type, like it can be of integer, float, character, or any complex data structure. Third, the array is based on index. So for example, and contiguous memory we have already known about. So what is indexed based access? Now let's take our previous example 1 to 10. In this one, we will, as a humanly, we cannot refer the addresses. It's very difficult to write those complex address types and remember those types. So whenever we define an array, we have a reference point. For example, the first element of the array will always have 0th index and second element will have 1 index. Mostly in many programming languages the index start from 0. In some case it can start from 1 as well, but in this tutorial we'll assume that the language which we are referring to has the array starting with 0. So in this one, like the first element has 0, the second will be at index 1 and so on and so forth. The last element, since it is of 10 size, the index will be at value will be a 9 in this case. So this is how the array index based access can work. These are the indices of this array. What are the different types of array? So very simpler linear one is the 1D array. We just define this array. The other one is of 2D array. For example, this is I defined a table here which is of size 3, 3. Basically the number of rows is 3 and the number of columns is also 3. And similarly we can also define multi-dimensional arrays. There can be, so for example in this here I have taken 3-dimensional array, but there can be a 4-dimensional array as well. Although I haven't seen much of the higher dimensional array in real life applications. Mostly I have seen like 3 or maximum 4-dimensional array. So talking about now disadvantages. Now again, the fixed size, which is characteristics of the array, is actually a major disadvantage as well. Why it is a disadvantage? Because in today's world, when we talk about the data, we store data, and data is always increasing. You know, the data is not fixed. The size of the data is not fixed. So this is one major disadvantage of why arrays are not used in an application where there is a dynamic size of data. Basically, the size of the data can change with time. Waste memory if allocated larger than needed. Again, this also is a disadvantage, and it also is related to kind of fixed size as well. Because let's suppose you have taken an array of size 100, but you only are using 40 indices of that array at a time. So the 60 blocks of memory which that array was allocated to is getting waste, because computer has already allocated that memory to this array, and no other application can use that memory. So this is also a disadvantage of an array. What are some real life uses? There can be like there are many real life application uses. You'll learn more about as you work, but couple of them I have listed, like board games, different type of lists. There can be any list, music playlist, student mark list, and all those. This arrays can be used here, but again, just keep in mind the disadvantages. There are other data structures as well which are better suitable here, which we will be studying about them in our later videos. Third is images. Yeah, so images are the one which I can say that, okay, these can be arrays can be used here. Although image size and the resolution changes, because of which the array size will also change for those to store those pixel values. So yeah, that's all about the arrays for now. Thank you. If you like the video, please do like and subscribe.